In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your very own chatbots without the need of hiring an expensive developer. Now, you might be asking why we want a chatbot, and the simple reason is we can give people instant responses, which is trained off our data or preset conditions, so we never miss an opportunity again, or we don't worsen our situations with a slow response. I'll leave all the links for the softwares I use in this video below, and if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to let me know in the comments and by liking, letting me know if you would like me to create a series all around chatbots. Here we are inside the chatbot tool called Landbot. Now, this is a chatbot builder and it's got a ton of pre-built templates that we can utilize. However, I'm just going to build one, a fairly simplistic one, but with lots of options from scratch so you can see how to get going. Now, to give you an example of the style bot we're going to be using, if I click on this bot here, whilst this looks quite large and quite complex, it's actually pretty simple. Now, what will happen is when someone goes to this chatbot, so if I just do share, so when someone comes to this chatbot, they'll be presented with this little greeting. Now, this greeting is customizable, so if we look at the back end, we can see this over here is our starting point. And the first thing it's going to ask is, which product are you contacting us about? Now, these are some of my products that I feel like I can automate the support with. So I've taken all of the questions and answers that that my customers have asked, as well as everything I've responded with, and I've put it behind these options here. So let's say someone comes and they want questions about Automators Club. Well, next it's going to open up, hey, I need information about refunds, or I didn't receive something, or I can't access something, or I need help setting the product up. So let's say they didn't receive the purchase, and then it's going to show a new response based on the criteria right here. Now, if you're a bit nervous that there's a chance that the customer's still not going to be satisfied with the pre-templated answers, you can always set up a form and then they can contact you as well. And this is fully customizable. You can add as many inputs as you want or as little as you need. So let's go ahead and create a brand new bot by heading over to Bots, Bot Builder, and we're going to build a chatbot. We can then decide what sort of chatbot do we want to launch. Do we want it to be for our website? Do we want it to be on our WhatsApp or our Facebook Messenger, or do we want it to be an API chatbot? And then we've also got some templates here if we're looking to do lead gen or appointments or something along those lines. For me, I want to do a website chatbot, so we'll click web, and at this stage we have numerous different options, but I'm going to do start from scratch because I want to show you how to actually set everything up. The first thing that we need to understand is that this is a canvas, and on our mouses we can right click, which will drag the page all over the place, or if we click the left button, this is where we can add new blocks. So we'll just start off clicking the plus icon, and now we have all of these different options, and it really depends on what you're trying to build, but what sort of chatbot you're building. Now, this is going to be a customer support chatbot. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on buttons. It will open up this configuration panel here, and it's pretty simple. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to know why are they here. So excuse my blunt terminologies here. I'm not going to sugarcoat the text, but of course you would. So the first thing I'm going to say is, why are you here? So now that the message is there, we want to give them some options. So the first one could be billing. The next one could be can't access product. Okay, and then you can add multiple different buttons that they can click on. You can also align them vertically or horizontally. I'll just keep with horizontally for now, and then with the answers we can save them into fields or containers, and I'll talk about that shortly. You can add your own images if you want, but I'm not going to. Okay, so we've now created our first step. So if I just do test bot, it opens up this nice little preview panel, and it says, why are you here? And then I can click on billing. Now nothing's going to show because we've not added the next step when someone clicks on that. So if they click on billing, what we can do is say, hey, let's click on this plus icon again, and now we can ask a question, ask for the name, ask for an email, or ask for numerous different sort of things. I'm going to fill in the forms and I'm just going to say information, and before we get started, please submit your information. And then where it says row 1, we're going to ask a question. The first question is asking for their name. So I'm just going to say, what is your name? And we can make this required. And then for here, we can just say name as the container, just like that. So we now have the name. So the next step is to add another option. So we're going to click the plus icon. And this time we're going to ask for the email. So what is your email? And for the variable, I'm going to type in email. And all the variable is somewhere we can store the answers in, so we can reference it at a later point. It's nothing else. Think of a folder, and the purpose of the folder is to hold a bunch of files or a bunch of information. This is no different. The variable is the folder, the variable is the box, and inside the box or inside the folder, you put in the information. The information that goes into this specific folder or box is names or emails. Okay, so now we've done that, we now have a form. So if we go back to test, and this time if we click on billing, it will now show us this information here, which is great. So once we have this information, we can now click the plus button again, and we're going to once again do buttons. I actually like the buttons feature of Landbot because it just makes everything really simple. It means I can give the customer options and guide them in the best way, and it keeps things really clean. So next, I'm going to want to know, well, if it's about billing, best choice that fits your needs. So if it's about billings, it can be refunds, or we can add another option, which could be something the lines of duplicate payment, or it could be invoicing. So now we have 3 new options that we can decide, hey, let's create some options. So for refunds, we can click here, and let's just say when they do this, if they want a refund, we can now ask them another question. So ask a question, and that question will be, please explain why you would like a refund. And then in the variable, we can say refunds, and then we can say explain. Create, and then for settings we can do a min character. So let's just say we don't want them just pulling a full stop or just something silly just to bypass it. So we can say there needs to be a minimum of 100 characters in order for them to be able to send this off. So then we can do apply, and now they ask a question. So and then once they filled out that question, we can just send a message saying thank you, someone will be in touch soon. And finally, we want to send an email to ourselves. So we'll just do from the main server, but you will want to connect your custom SendGrid email, and then you can just send it to whoever, and there you have it. Okay, so let's go through what we've actually done so far, because all of a sudden it's looking quite long and quite complex, but it's really not. Okay, so let's do a test preview. So someone comes to our chatbot, we're going to say there's a problem with billing, we'll enter some information, do send, and then now that we've got the information and it's being held for us, we can say, hey, you know, what do you need, what's wrong? Oh, it's a refund. So we'll click refunds, and then please explain why you'd like a refund, and we'll just paste in some text and do send. And then our final message is thank you, someone will be in touch soon. And that's the chatbot. Great. So that looks really good, and already we've sped up our services just by creating this simple little workflow. Now let's complete this workflow because we have the foundation of it. For our initial second option of can't access the product, we now have the choice of we can either add another option here, or, well, if they can't access the product, we're still going to need the person's information. So we can simply just click and hold and then point it right here. So now these 2 options actually go straight to this one form because that's all that it really needs. Now we'll move on to the duplicate payment. Well, if there's a duplicate payment, it's not going to fit this option here. So we'll just click, and now we can add something else. So an example of that could be selecting the buttons, and in the buttons we can actually give a explanation of what's going on. So we can just say the reason why a duplicate payment has been made, and then we can paste it in. Now we can in fact add multiple messages just by clicking the add message, and then right here we can add in more messages here. Okay, so there's a tremendous amount you can do. And then for the buttons you can say this solved my issue, or if it didn't, no, did not help, contact support. Okay, so now we've got two more options, which is if it solved the issue, we can simply add a message saying, great, you can leave this page now. And if you want to get a little bit funky, you can even say, that is great. And then we can click on variables and we can select the name. So that is great name, and we can make it more responsive to the individual. You can leave this page now. Or if it didn't help, we can set up another form, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this block so we don't need to recreate the forms, because it only needs some simple changing. And we'll click on this and we can say please explain the issue in full, and then we can say duplicate issue, and we'll create that, and then we can connect just like that. And once they've submitted, we can grab this end here and connect it to thank you, someone will be in touch shortly. So let's just have a quick look, and you can see that these wires or these arrows are now starting to cross over, which is a bit of a pain, especially once you start building larger flows. So to fix that, and you won't always be able to, but to fix that, all we need to do is just move these things like so. Okay, so we can just move them like this, and boom. Now we need to remember that whenever we ask someone for contact details, we actually need to set up the flow so it sends us the email. Now all we need to do here is, because this is a form here and we've already set up this send email, and then once that's connected, it will just go over here. So now we've got the refunds, we've got the duplicate, and we've got the invoicing. But before we continue, let's just have a quick test and have a look at the duplicate payment option. So we're going to go into billing, and we're going to say what's your name. So I'm going to say Marty, and then hello@gmail.com. And we'll do net, and then we want the duplicate payment, and we've got the explanation why there might be a duplicate payment, but it's not solved the issue. So first, let's just quickly test this did solve the issue. That's great, Marty, you can leave this page now, which is fantastic. But if the issue didn't solve, well, we can just do this did not help, contact support, and now we would like to explain why we want a refund. So again, we'll just enter some text and do send, and that's been redirected to, let me just move this, that's been directed to this message, and now it's going to be sent to our email. So everything is working really easy and seamlessly, and you may have noticed that in the test bot, it actually showed my name, which was really cool. And finally, we want to set up something for the invoicing. So once again, we can click this plus icon, or we can actually just click this here, and we've now got the advanced options, which were all listed here, or the simple stuff, which is here. So I'm going to do ask a question, and this time I'm going to do a form, and I'm just going to drag this and move these just so we can keep everything nice and organized. And I'm going to put this form right here. I'm going to drag this just so we remember this is about the invoicing. And now we want to ask questions like order ID, and we can even give it some help text. So enter the ID number on your form, and again we can say the min amount of characters, it could be, let's say 12, and the variable order ID is good, so we'll just do create. Okay, so this is where it will get really interesting. So let's say you're using a third-party software which has all your order IDs. You can connect this bot to something like Zapier that will connect to your CRM. So if we click on Zapier, we can say what we want to connect it to. So if you wanted to do like a search for an order ID, or something those lines, you can actually connect it into your Zap and see if that order ID is even valid. Because if it's not, there's no point wasting your time. So when they enter the order ID, we can then click the plus and we can set conditions. So if the order ID is equal to, and then you would place in your Zapier ID here. So it's getting the response back from Zapier. So does it match your Zapier sequence or your Zapier feedback? Then if it's a yes, then we can just send this straight to the thank you, someone will be in touch soon, because we know that the order exists. And if we've got the order number, then we're going to have all of their other contact details already in our system. So it's going to go to this thanking them, and then it's going to go send us an email letting us know we need to contact them. Alternatively, if it's a no, which is the red icon here, we can send a message saying, sorry, this does not exist. Please double check the number. Or if you want to be even more helpful, just get rid of this delete bot, add here, type in some buttons, enter the message and just say try again, or add another button, contact support. And we're just going to, for the try again, we can send it straight back there. So now it's looping. So we'll just go here. So it's actually looping back to the form, or we want to contact support. And if that's the case, we can either create a new form or connect it straight to the message and then send an email. So let's just have a quick look. So here is our chatbot that we've just created. And now if we share and publish it, we can copy it. So let's just go with can't access the product. We'll do send. So what do we want? Let's say invoicing. We can add in the order ID. And because we've not connected Zapier, it's not going to do the traceback. So it's always going to be, sorry, this does not exist. But we can try again and we can just enter a number, do send, and that works. Oh, it's still not working. Contact support and thank you, someone will be in touch, and then we will get the email. So this is the bot. I do hope you've enjoyed. If you've got any questions, go ahead and send me a message. Until next time.